Dan, Nipsey Hussle's fans, family, and closest friends all agree he's one of the realest MCs out there of his time. Now, this title isn't just because of his rhymes talking about the life in South LA, but because he's creating change in South LA.
If it wasn't for Nipsey, we wouldn't have nothing around here. For real, all we need is black people that really stick together and make things happen out here in the community. We don't got too many people that want to donate to the community when they get famous. They just think about themselves. Nip and Boss Hog really for the hood and for the family. You feel what I'm saying? I really love them. They my role models. For real.
That part right there. So I've been a huge Nipsey Hussle fan for a while. The very first video that I uploaded to this YouTube channel 4 years ago was a review of my order from his Marathon Clothing website. And I got this t-shirt actually when I saw him in concert for the first time last June in Seattle. It was the last stop on his Victory Lap tour, and I'm so glad that I went and saw him. I traveled all the way from Calgary, Alberta, Canada to Seattle, Washington, because unfortunately he wasn't allowed into Canada. He had tried to tour there before and he was stopped at the border. So I decided to go and see him, and I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to go see him live. But that being said, I wanted to make a video today to commemorate all of the positive things that Nipsey Hussle did for his community. So without further ado, here are the top 5 things that Nipsey Hussle did for his community. So the first thing I want to speak about is the plaza where Nipsey Hussle had his Marathon Clothing store. Unfortunately, it is the same location where Nipsey Hussle was killed, but there's a lot of history there for Nipsey Hussle. See, he started selling mixtapes and his clothing out the trunk of his car in that very parking lot, but he kept getting shut down by the cops for operating, a business that wasn't licensed. So eventually, they leased space in that strip mall to open the Marathon Clothing store. And just recently, Nipsey Hussle and a real estate investor by the name of Dave Gross purchased that strip mall with plans to redevelop it, and they've already started by opening some new businesses. They opened a barber shop, they opened a food location that has a bunch of healthy eating options for people in the community, and they opened a basic needs store as well. And the local news station there in South Central Los Angeles actually did a feature on what he was doing for this strip mall there.
Dan, Nipsey Hussle's fans, family, and closest friends all agree he's one of the realest MCs out there of his time. Now, this title isn't just because of his rhymes talking about the life in South LA, but because he's creating change in South LA.
All my life, I've been grinding all my life, yeah. All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price.
7 mixtapes, a chart-topping studio album, and a lot of Nipsey Hussle's lifelong grind is paying off, and now the 33-year-old rapper is paying it forward in Crenshaw.
My career started right here. This community put me on. Yes, sir.
Nipsey started in this parking lot on the corner of Slauson and Crenshaw. He used to sell his unsigned mixtapes out of the trunk of his car. Now, you actually own half of this lot.
Yeah, me and my family, Black Sam, Adam, my pops, the whole team.
He also owns Marathon Clothing Store, which not only sells his label, but lets his visitors use an app to enhance their shopping experience.
We playing a long game. We don't want the money to stop when we go. When we can't work no more, we want it to outlive us. We want it to be generational.
And next door, a basic needs shop. They sell everything from prepaid cell phones to fragrances. By the end of this year, Nipsey will also open a barber shop.
And so we gonna call this Steve's, and it's named after my homeboy Fats. You know what I mean? This is a tattoo of him right here. He was murdered last year.
And a Creole seafood restaurant.
And everything, all the equipment was brand new.
All of these businesses are family-owned and operated.
Now, the second thing I want to speak about is Nipsey Hussle's loyalty to continue to use local artists, whether that be for the Marathon Clothing, getting them to design the t-shirts and produce the t-shirts, or getting local artists to be featured on his mixtapes. Obviously Nipsey Hussle had the means to go to bigger artists and get their features on his mixtapes, but he rarely did that. The majority of the time he used local artists from South Central Los Angeles like Jay Stone, Kobe Supreme, Dom Kennedy, Dub, a number of artists that were up and coming in the area and gave them a chance to really shine on Nipsey Hussle's mixtapes. So continuing on with this theme, Nipsey Hussle actually hired all felons at his Marathon clothing store, and the reason he did that is because he knew that once they left jail they would have a difficult time finding work with a criminal record. And so, you know, often when that happens, people fall into the same trap of selling drugs or leading a life of crime when they can't find work, right? So Nipsey Hussle was giving them an opportunity to prove themselves and make an honest living by working at the Marathon clothing store.
I was out here in the streets, feel me, like getting in a lot of trouble. Dropped out of school, went to jail, gun cases, I gangbanged, feel me? He gave me a job, put me on, got my parole off my back. It's influencing people to do better, you feel me? Because homies, they been on, they came from scratch right here, feel me? They started off selling CDs on the curb. Now look at them, they got 3, 4, 5 businesses, feel me? That's from hard work, dedication.
And at both stores, Nipsey hired local artists.
It's Tanny.
Hi,
one
Tanny,
of our,
I'm Leah.
Partners and up-and-coming artists.
Now the heartbreaking part about this is that, you know, Nipsey Hussle's brother Black Sam said in an interview after Nipsey Hussle's death, because he hired all felons, obviously they're not allowed to possess guns and they're not allowed to carry firearms. So when Nipsey Hussle was attacked and shot at, no one was able to come to Nipsey Hussle's defense and shoot back and try and protect him. So the third thing I want to speak about is another real estate venture that Nipsey Hussle did with Dave Gross. It's called Vector 90, and they created a co-working space where individuals from the community could go there to collaborate, create, innovate, and just sit down and have a place to work and build.
I saw something that you had put up or were talking about. I think it was on Big Boy's show in LA.
It's called Vector 90.
Vector 90, yeah.
Yes,
and I reposted the video.
I seen that.
It was about something with technology and business in your neighborhood.
Yeah. So Vector 90, it opened up the day before my album release. It's basically an inner city co-work space. And in the bottom half is a science, technology, engineering, and math center, which is basically the skill set you need to go into Silicon Valley. Even when we did the grand opening, all the artwork on the walls were facts about technology and about these companies and how the demographics are in Facebook and Google and Twitter. And it's like the highest one has 8% African American people. You know, the goal is to create a bridge between the inner cities and Silicon Valley. And especially it's important in LA because that's an hour away and there's minimal representation.
And in an attempt to attract entrepreneurs to the community, his latest business venture is Vector 90, a co-working space in the Crenshaw district.
It's very important that co-working spaces or spaces like this exist in communities like this for people of color, where we can have resources and spaces to work and to network and to meet with people and collaborate with people.
So the fourth thing I want to talk about is Nipsey Hussle and Puma's collaboration to refurbish a local basketball court. They also donated $10,000 to the school that was obviously in need of some renovations. So Nipsey Hussle had a shoe deal with Puma, but you know, they took it above and beyond that. They decided to work together to put some money back into the community and see how they could help the less fortunate kids.
We got a lot of great business partners that make these type of opportunities something that is actually doable. Us being in partnership with Puma, them going back into basketball for the first time in years, we wanted to do something basketball themed. So put our heads together and came up with refurbishing the basketball courts at 59th Street Elementary School. You know, my grandma stayed a block away from here. We grew up, you know, walking distance from right here. Used to hop the gate, play basketball as young kids. You know, it aligned with what we believe in, what Puma's doing, and I feel like the kids end up being the winners at the end of the day.
Nipsey says businesses are only part of the change. For true change, he's starting with kids at 54th Street Elementary, an area plagued by violence.
Yeah, I think it's just about offering a new identity, you know? Like it's not weak to be strong. It ain't weak to make smart moves.
He hired a local artist to help spruce up this basketball court.
And I see in the inside, it's got safety, respect, friendship, kindness.
Yeah.
community principles.
Principles, yeah, to live by.
So the last thing I want to speak about is Nipsey's initiative to sit down with lawmakers, to sit down with the LAPD, to sit down with council members to make a real impact in his community. You know, he didn't just talk about it, he didn't just hand out turkeys at Thanksgiving, he was really making these changes in his community by investing his own money into it, by sitting down with lawmakers, by sitting down with people who are willing to invest their own money into his community to make change. So on numerous times he sat down with council member Marquise Harris Dawson to speak about things such as gun control, to speak about things such as a project called Destination Crenshaw, which involved, you know, getting a transit line through there, you know, getting more money invested into the real estate and developing it so people who live in the community can actually prosper there and have a number of opportunities to grow and develop their skills. Nipsey's will to sit down with lawmakers was again proven shortly after his death when LA Police Commissioner Steve Soborow sent out this tweet that said, "We, LAPD Chief Moore and I were meeting at the request of Nipsey Hussle with him and Rock Nation tomorrow at 4 p.m. to talk about ways he could help stop gang violence and help us help kids." I'm so very sad. You know, that was such a heartbreaking tweet and put things really into perspective after Nipsey Hussle's death, because it showed that he was killed by the very thing that he was trying to stop. You know, he stayed in Crenshaw and he was trying to build up that plaza because he wanted to create opportunities for kids that were going to be in that same neighborhood. And this wasn't the idea of the LAPD. This was Nipsey Hussle's idea. He had requested to sit down with the LA police, to sit down with the commissioner, to sit down with the chief and see how they could fix the gang violence, how they could get guns off the street, and how they could make Crenshaw a better community. A lot of rappers would have too big of an ego to go and sit down with police, but Nipsey Hussle was smarter than that. He knew that if he wanted to see real change, he had to sit down with the ones that were making the biggest impact. He had to sit down with the council members, he had to sit down with the government, he had to sit down with the police chief. He didn't want to just talk about it, he wanted to actually see it. He wanted people in his community to actually feel it. So those are the top 5 things that Nipsey Hussle did to give back to his community. I know there's a lot more things that he did, but those were kind of the top 5 that really stood out to me. And one more thing that I didn't mention, but I think is probably the biggest thing he did, not only for his community, but for everyone, is the music that he gave. And there are so many jewels in his music, and if you really listen to the lyrics, he's a very intelligent, articulate individual, and there's so much wisdom in his lyrics. If you really listen to him, you know, there's so many things to get inspired about. If you want to be a successful businessman, an entrepreneur, a hustler, whatever the case may be, I encourage you to go listen to his music. Not only does it sound amazing, but there's just so much to learn from his music. So please, I encourage you to go listen to Nipsey Hussle's music. Thanks a lot for watching my video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for a lot more hip-hop related videos. Thanks.